Okay, so in this video, we're going to go over how I approach merge conflicts when I'm doing a merge or a rebase of two separate branches of code. So the reason that you would end up with a merge conflict would be if you are working on one branch of a repo and someone else on your team is working on another branch of the repo, and you're making changes and they're making changes. Now, when you try to put those changes together, Git will try to determine how it's supposed to look. But if both of you made changes to the same line of the same file and those changes are not the same, then Git usually won't know how to resolve that on its own. And so in those situations, Git gives you a merge conflict and it asks you to determine which code is supposed to go where in the file. So I'm going to show you an example of this today. And the way that I approach merge conflicts has changed over time. The thing about a merge conflict while you're doing merging or rebasing is it's not something that you're typically accounting for time for. And so it becomes more stressful than it has to be because we don't factor it into how long it takes to build an application. And we're expecting it to move quickly and take zero time. But proceeding with an extensive merge conflict in a thoughtful way that ends up being accurate so you don't have to do it over and over sometimes takes time. And so I would encourage you to think of doing a merge conflict, resolving a merge conflict as something that's worth a little bit of extra patience and a little bit of extra time to go in, understand what's coming from your branch, understand what's coming from the other branch, try to understand the changes that you want when you put the two branches together and move forward one conflict at a time, one file at a time. If you ever get confused, it's perfectly fine to slow down. So let me show you, I'll give you an example. Now, in your last homework, you made some changes to the Canary Android app. I also made some different changes to the Canary Android app. So while you worked on persisting your pastimes, I worked on creating some charts. Now we need to create a branch that merges your work with my work so that we can deploy an application that has both the pastime persistence and the charts. So I'm going to clone down one of your homework projects. Okay. And I've chosen this one because I know it to be largely done, and I expect that this merge is probably already done for this person as well at this point. Okay. So I've cloned down my project, and then if I cd into it and you git remote -v, I see one set of remotes to origin. So this is where we got this project from on GitHub. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add another version of this repo as another remote to pull from so that I can get branches from either of the two remotes. Here's how I do that. So if I look at the branch that I'm on now, I see that I have this main branch 1 base activity with tabs, but we know that there are other branches available. So I'm going to do git branch -a to see everything that comes from the origin remote. And I see that I have this base activity with tabs, this mood entry form, this 3 data persistence, and 4 custom pastimes. There's this other branch, 5 add pie chart data. You can ignore that. I think that's the homework already being done uh, outside of this rebase. So we're going to go to 4 custom pastimes. So this is how I do that. I'm going to do git checkout for custom pastimes. And this is going to be the branch that coincides with the custom pastime work being done that we want to merge all of our new chart stuff into. And so now if I do git branch, I should see that I have 2, the original branch and 4 custom pastimes. Now it's time for me to add a remote to another version of this repo. And so in this other tab, I have the version of the repo that I worked on the charts for. And when I do git remote -v on my version of the repo, I have this remote called Origin, which I'm now going to make a remote of the homework repo as well. So inside of this homework repo, I am going to say git remote add. I have to give this remote a name. I'm going to name it Chelsea because I'm pulling from Chelsea's remote, Chelsea. And then I put my remote in like this. Then when I do git remote -v, I see that I have two sets of remotes. One, origin, that the homework came from, and the second one, Chelsea, which is where the charts reside. If I do git fetch Chelsea, I can see which branches are on the other remote. And so I have a bunch. Base entry, base activity with tabs, mood entry form, and data persistence. We see that all of those are already present in our homework repo. But the one that we don't have is 5 add chart. So that's the one that we're going to merge in. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do git checkout 5 add chart. And I'm switched to the branch 5 add chart. If I do git branch at this point, I should have 3. The base branch from origin, the branch I checked out on origin, and the branch I checked out on the Chelsea remote. So now I'm going to switch back over to my custom pastimes. Whoops, git checkout for custom pastimes. And now it's time to start our merge. Git merge 5 add chart. All right, when I hit enter, I'm likely to see a bunch of merge conflicts. All right, so the reason that this is happening is that it's not recognizing the histories as being shared between these two projects, and that's fine. We can do git merge, we can do git merge 5 add chart, allow unrelated histories. And so now you're going to see all of these merge conflicts that need to be resolved. Now it's a wall of text and it can be intimidating to look at, but we're going to take it one change at a time and just be patient with it. So let me open this project in Android Studio. We'll do it in this window is actually fine. And now I'm going to hit Command 9. That's going to give me my version control panel. And when I pull up my version control panel, what I see is this little caret next to a merge conflicts phrase. So I'm going to open that and I see all of the files that have merge conflicts in them. I'm going to go through these merge conflicts one by one, and then we'll get to the end and get our app running. Okay, so I'm in the very first file, and I see a merge conflict. It looks like the 5 add chart branch added a dependency on this Android chart thing, and that dependency wasn't there in the homework version of the application. That's fine. So what I'll do is I'll remove the conflict markers and take the new dependency. Also in here, it looks like neither of them had anything, so I'm going to get rid of the conflict markers. And then it looks like 5 add chart added this Maven location to get dependencies from. So we should probably keep that. Now I move on to colors. I take all colors. I take all colors, all strings, and all imports, usually when I'm doing merge conflict resolution. So I'm going to open the code here. And I see, let's see, what came from the homework? This text view with wrapping content, this radio group, that looks good. And then the chart didn't add anything. So I'm going to take what the homework did, which was to add this radio group of radio buttons for the weather. And then It looks like one branch had this labeled entry notes and the other one had it labeled mood notes. I'm going to take the homework version. That's a matter of preference. And then the styling. I think these are the same styles, just in a different order. Because look, text all caps false, alignment center, text color, text size, text size. So it doesn't matter which one I take, but I'll just take the top one. Great, next file. Next file. All right, so we have the stuff that was added in the homework. Mood entries, fetch mood data, recycler view adapter. It looks like in the new version, there's this dot mood entries, meaning that mood entries is no longer local. It's now located up here. Okay. So for this one, we assign mood entries to an empty array here, and we assign it to fetch mood data there. It looks like we fetch mood data here. And then we fetch mood data again here. So we just have to decide whether we want to keep the fetch mood data that's on the database helper or keep the fetch mood data that's local here. And so we will keep the one that is on the database helper. The reason being that if this method was originally in here and then later got moved to the database helper, then that's probably the final location that we wanted it to be. So here, I'm going to take the version with the chart changes. And I'm going to get rid of my merge conflict thingies. And I'm going to do the same thing down here because it's the same decision about where to put the fetch mood data. All right, finally, okay, this is the decision that we just made. So fetch mood data is currently in this file, and it looks like in the changes that were brought down for charts, we don't have that in there anymore. And so I'm going to get rid of all of this because fetch mood data now has been moved to the database helper. Great. Let's go to our next file. It looks like the background color in the homework version is set to a hex value, and the background color in the charts version is set to a color resource. Let's keep the color resource. So with each merge conflict, it's worth noting that in most cases, I want to take either one version or the other. This is the version of the code that one person had. This is the version of the code that the other person had. And the way you know is from the label. This is head to the local repo. So this is the homework version. And this is the code here that came from the branch 5 add chart. So which of these two margins do I want? I'm going to take 20 dp because I like big margins. But I generally will try to pick one version of the code over the other, unless they truly are like making changes that need to be mixed together. And the way that you would know that is if your changes in that portion of the file were trying to change the same functionality that the changes from the other branch were making. So let's look at our changes here. It looks like the homework version has a notes label and a weather label. That's probably good. We probably want that. So we'll keep the homework version and get rid of the charts version of this. You'll notice that there's stuff in red. I don't really try to resolve that while I'm resolving conflicts because a lot of times stuff is in red because files in another part of the project didn't compile because they have merge conflicts in them. And so I tend to handle all the merge conflicts, and a lot of this red stuff works itself out. And then after that, see if anything needs to be fixed. Okay, so let's go to the next file. Main activity, taking all my imports. All right, and then we have some changes up here. Main activity, app.compat activity, updatable. Well, probably if one of them has an interface implementation that the other one doesn't have, we want that. But it also looks like there have been some things added. A sections pager adapter. Oh no, that's down here too. A view pager, that's down here. And a mood entry fragment. This we probably want. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it into the one we want to keep. So that's an example of where I kept both changes. All right, this merge conflict is a space or not a space. I don't care. All right, for this one, it looks like the homework version makes the dialog fragment a member of the class, whereas this one's local, but it sets a dismiss listener. So we'll keep it a member of a class and also set a dismiss listener. Then the homework has the radio button, and the charts added this method on dismiss. I think we want both of these methods. So I'm going to get rid of the merge conflict markers and keep everything. Cool, so I got to keep some code from each of the two changes in this file. Let's go to the next file. So now I'm in the mood entry. It looks like in the homework I get this weather thing added. And in the merged in changes, it's an array list of pastimes. Whereas the recent pastimes here is an array list of strings. So I think what I'll do is I'll keep the homework version. All right. And it looks like in the homework version, I have recent pastimes and weather here, whereas I don't have weather in charts. So I want to keep the weather feature, so I'm going to take the homework version. Once again, I want to keep the homework version to keep the weather stuff. And I'm also going to keep the homework version to keep its handling of weather here. All right, then we have this hydrate from database thing. With a format for view. I think we want to keep the homework version because this is still pastime related, and the homework was what was changing the pastimes. The only other thing that's like different from here to there is that this is now wrapped in like a if the pastimes is not empty wrapper. So I'm going to take the wrapper and I'm going to wrap it around this new code. But then other than that, I'm going to keep the homework version. So I'm going to get rid of all that. Put this around there. Format it all up. And I'm going to get rid of my markers. All right, now I have this other one with pastimes and weather. And I know that the homework was messing around with pastimes. So I'm going to keep the homework version and get rid of the charts version, which was not in charge of pastimes. Great, next. Mood entry adapter. Once again, we're dealing with weather in the homework, and so we're going to keep the homework version of any weather handling related code. More weather stuff. Next thing. I'm going to keep all my imports. Keeping all my imports. All right, once again, it's weather, so we're keeping the homework version. It looks like here, though, we're also adding this dismiss listener from charts, and we probably need that too. So I'm going to keep both in this case. All right, then we have the notes edit text. This was where we chose earlier which ID to keep, and we kept the homework ID, so we need to keep the homework ID here too, or else Android is not going to know which view this is. Okay. So then in the homework, we have this on dismiss thing. Oh no, in the homework, we don't have anything there, and in the charts, we have this on dismiss thing. That is probably related to our on dismiss listener that we added up here. So we're going to keep it. And then we have this submit mood entry thing. That looks good. Okay, now the homework submits a mood entry. That all looks good. So what's the difference here? We do this database helper thing where we save it to the mood entry, which we also do right there. So that looks fine. So let's keep the homework version here. So I'm going to get rid of this. Good. All right, here's our next one. The homework added pastime stuff. The homework was dealing with pastime stuff, so I'm going to defer to the homework on any pastime related code. All right, next. Taking all my imports. All this stuff came from the homework. And then this stuff here came from add charts. So it looks like that is the same. And then so what happens that created the conflict is that here we execute some pastimes, and here we generate like example moods. So I'm going to take my example moods and I'm going to add them to the onCreate method up here. And then I'm going to get rid of the rest of this. So now what I've done is I've added all the stuff from both branches to the onCreate method. So now I make sure I'm getting rid of all my conflict markers. All right, here, what do we do in the homework? SQLite database.exec. So this is dropping the pastime thing. That looks good. And then, so it looks like there's two things going on here. Previously, save mood. So the homework renamed save to save mood, which is fine. We can keep the name save mood. It's probably like that because we also now have a save pastime. So I'm going to keep my save method that I use right there. And then we'll take the homework here. So we have save mood and save. So we take our content values. What's happening here? So it looks like the homework branch is adding the weather, which is in fact what we want. So let's use the homework version. This I can already see is not really doing what it's supposed to do, but like I said, we fix all the merge conflicts and then come back and do any functionality stuff later. So in the homework, I have this list mood entries method. And then in add chart, I have a different list mood entries method. And it looks like the difference is this one doesn't allow you to limit to the past week. So I'm actually going to keep both for now. And then if one needs to go later, we'll worry about it then. Keep everybody's stuff. And then here, we'll also keep everybody's stuff. Usually if it's like variables and that kind of thing, I keep everything. Can never have too many variables. Later, Android Studio is going to gray out any variables I don't use. So at that time, I will go in here and take out anything that isn't used. Nice. All right, if it's comments and stuff, I don't care. I'll take the whole thing. I'm going to take the weather edition right there because that is what the homework did. In the homework, we created some tests. We're just going to keep all tests here. Next. All right, the end is in sight, people. We have like 9 or 10 files left. Take all imports. Format for database. We're going to keep the string version that comes from the homework because the homework dealt with pastimes, so I'm going to trust that when it comes to pastimes, the homework knows what it wants. Nice. Next. Add all imports. All right, so here the homework in the profile fragment adds a bunch of stuff. Let's hang on to the way the homework updated the profile fragment because the profile fragment was part of the homework's responsibility. All right, now we go on to the next file. We take all imports. For tests, I basically take everything. All right, take all imports. Take So the tags fragment has some pie charts on it now, which I know that add chart was responsible for. So this time I'm going to take the incoming chart changes. I'm going to get rid of random comment conflicts. Strings, I usually take everything. All right, that's all my markers gone in there. Tags fragment, I take all imports. So I know that the charts branch was responsible for updating this fragment. So I'm going to take actually the charts version. Get rid of my conflict marker down here. All right, now we do the tags fragment test. I take the probably stuff from the charts branch, which was messing around in the tags fragment. Once again, the trends fragment was updated in the charts. So probably we'll take that here, but might as well take all imports. Get rid of all this. It's probably numerous imports twice. That's okay. And then we get rid of our conflict marker. Finally, we're in the trends fragment again for the test. So I'm going to take add charts because it was messing in the trends fragment. And now if I try to rebuild my project, Gradle sync failed, cost startup failed. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Command Shift F and look for any brackets, any equals, and any strings of closed brackets. There's none, so it looks like all that's been resolved. So I'm going to click this Resolve button, which is going to add all of these files to my committed files. No, it isn't. I'm going to close out of this. Let me try Make Module. And I'll also all right, it looks like there's an unexpected token in build.gradle line 8. Not, oh, am I in the wrong one? Well, that does not appear to be the case anymore. So let's try syncing again. Hit the little sync button. It appears to be synced. Let's try rebuilding. Doesn't seem like anything's happening. Let me shut out of Android Studio and restart it. And let it reindex that way. All right, a build is happening. Cool, so the sync finished. Now we'll make our project. Awesome. So now we have passed the merge conflicts phase, and we're in the a million errors phase. But we're making progress. So now it says conflicting import, imported name, dialog interface is ambiguous. Look, when it comes to imports, I just stick my cursor somewhere in here and I say Control Option O, which optimizes my imports and takes out anything I'm not using. So now I'm going to assume all those are taken care of. Let me go ahead and make project again and make sure that all of those errors are gone. Great. So now we have this unresolved reference to pastime. This thing is supposed to return an array list of strings. This is splitting a string and returning a list of strings. So this is supposed to be a string. Fairly confident. And it turns out it doesn't need the cast here at all, which I know because it's gray, I think. Maybe it does need the cast. Okay, I'm going to make the project again. Awesome, so we got rid of another one. All right, so now we're in the mood entry SQLite DB helper expecting an element. It looks like we have the mood entry column. Pastimes, maybe defined twice. Yeah, look. These two lines, exactly the same. On line 217 and 218, so I'm going to get rid of one. I'm going to make the project again. Every time I resolve one, there could be like fallout other ones that have been resolved. So that's why I do that. Expecting member declaration. It wants mood entry column pastimes. You can't find it. It looks like this is not attached to anything. Like there's these two queries. Oh, this is because we took everything earlier. So now we can get rid of dupes. So this is the step where we get to get rid of the duplicates. Good, so companion is not applicable inside companion object. We have all our mood columns, all our pastime columns. Creating the pastimes, dropping, good. And then it wants us to import some stuff. I'll automatically import stuff. I'm doing that with option enter. So it's automatically importing all our stuff from our companion object. Do we have a pastime entry column down here? We do. A bunch of these will probably need to import. We'll have to import all these. As I go down, it gives me the underline to import everything. Whoops. All right, we imported all that stuff. Here now, mood entry wants a weather string, so what happened here was one branch added a weather string to the constructor and the other branch called the constructor without the change. So I'm going to change all of these constructors at once. I hit Command-Shift-8 to go into column mode, and then I do Shift-Down, Down, Down, Down to select. I can go back and forth with Command-Shift-8 between column mode and highlighting mode. So I'm going to hit Command-Right to go all the way over to the right. And then on all of these, I'm going to use my left arrow to back up to just inside the parenthesis for this constructor, and then I'm going to add a comma, and I'm going to add sunny. That's my weather string. Beautiful. I'm going to hit escape to go back to one cursor. Awesome. So let's see. It looks like we have a companion object up here and a companion object on the bottom too. So I'm going to pull out this companion object. And then everything is recognized. Nice. All right, so let's go ahead and make again and see what errors remain. And these are all here because I added that inner companion object earlier by accident. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all of these. I'm going to Command-Shift-8, Shift down to get them all. And then once I have my column thing on all of them, I'm going to hit Option up until I have it all selected. I'm going to hit Delete. Goodbye. Because now that we have our companion object figured out properly, we don't need those. And then our remaining error is on this method that we determined doesn't appear to be doing anything. Somewhere. The save method. So we'll get rid of that. But the name save mood makes sense, so we might want to change save to save mood. But we'll put a pin in that and come back to that. This one needs weather too. So we'll add that. Looks just like the others. Cursor.getString. From weather column. Then we're going to get that up here. Whoops. From weather column, and that's going to be cursor. get column index, mood entry column weather. Again. All right, let's make our project again and see which errors we get now. Only safe or non-null asserted. So here I should be allowed to do a safe call, and that should solve that one. Unresolved reference pastime. Yep, we don't use that anymore. So this method is called save mood. And the mood database helper now doesn't have that because it's called save. Right here. So let's go ahead and change the name to save mood. Great. And then for imports, I'm going to hit Control Option O, optimize imports. That should take care of a lot of those. Tags, fragment, it looks like a bunch of stuff has to be imported. We don't need the onCreate method in here because it doesn't do anything. Cool. Now I'm going to make the project again. So we keep doing this process, and we just have to be patient about it. All right, it looks like we need to optimize imports again, Control Option O. Now I'm building again. Building, building, building. No errors so far. Great. Let's try running our app. Now what I might do here is uninstall Canary so it's a completely fresh reinstall on this device. This is still waiting for the target device to come online. Here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the emulator and I'm going to restart. Whoops. Where am I? Nope. Here we go. All right, I'm going to try running again. So now it's installing. Cool. So now we have our charts and our trends there and our history with our weather and everything and our profile.